Tap into the minds of the innovators and the Mavericks who challenge the status quo with new ideas, systems, and solutions. Welcome to Innovation Mavericks.
Welcome to Innovation Mavericks. My name is Greg Powell, President and CEO of Five Plan Partners. I'm honored today to have an innovator with me, Mike Miller, CEO of Office Environments. Mike, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Good morning, Greg. Nice to see you.
Well, I'm thrilled that we could get together today because you have done some great innovative things in the area of office furniture, healthcare furniture, and really appreciate what you've done. And I wanted you to share that this morning with our viewers. At the same time, though, I want to give a little background information about you. Mike is CEO of Office Environments, and Office Environments is an office and healthcare furniture dealer, a member of the Herman Miller Certified Dealer Network, and a DIRT partner with 6 offices across Alabama and North Florida. Mike serves on the advisory board of the National Dealer Alliance and has been in the industry for over 20 years. So Mike, in those 20 years, did you ever think, as an owner of a company and a business, that you would be facing a pandemic and having to advise people on how to reconfigure their offices or to deal with the fact that all of a sudden all the employees go and work remotely and everybody's trying to figure out, will they ever come back? Will we see them again, in terms of the way we work?
Who could ever imagine that 35% of the workforce would be working from home? Normally, in a traditional environment, we have around 3% of the workforce working from home. And while that may sound a little low to some people, if you think about the entire workforce and how many of those people are in the service sector, jobs that have to be done at home, whether you drive a bus, whether you clean a building, whatever you do, whether you cook, we know that restaurants have been affected by this, then you realize that the 3% number is pretty accurate. At the peak of COVID, we actually got to 35% of our workforce working from home. Buildings everywhere were vacant. The roads were empty. It's unprecedented. Nothing like this has happened in our lifetime.
No, you're right about that. And then also from the standpoint, the transformation of business models and how people do business. And so not only did you have to transform your business model, but also you had people coming at you asking for your leadership and advice. What do we do now with our office? Well, or when workers come back and we're still dealing with COVID, how do we deal with that?
And that's the big question. That's what is the new normal? What's the future look like? And we're fortunate that we are a member of the Herman Miller Dealer Network, and they are a research organization as much as they are a product company. And we're very blessed that we represent Herman Miller throughout the geography of North Alabama, or all of Alabama and North Florida. And Herman Miller has done a ton of research. They've done some of that in conjunction with companies like CBRE, which is well known in the commercial real estate industry.
Very much so.
Design firms like Gensler, that's well known throughout that industry. And they're putting together thoughts, and some of this is going to be a little bit of back to the future as we move forward, is what we believe. Over the last decade, we've gone in this industry from a relatively large amount of square footage allocated per employee in most office environments, much smaller footprint. We went from 8x8 cubicles and large private offices to, over the last few years, we primarily sold what's known as a benching product, which is effectively a table running down the center of a room with just people sitting next to each other all the way down both sides of that table. And
so they could collaborate. So they could collaborate on their laptops and meetings.
It's been a dual thing because, yes, it does allow collaboration, and that's been found to be very important. We've also found that not every employee likes that. There's some employees who don't function well in that environment. But at the same time, it's allowed the real estate, the footprint, to get much smaller. We're not allowing as many square feet per employee. Cost of that for the employer, the cost of that furniture is significantly less. There was a time when an 8x8 cubicle, that my 8-foot by 8-foot cubicle might have overhead storage and might have had a cabinet in the corner, and in some cases a sliding door, and spending between $5,000 and $10,000 per employee to put them in that type of environment. When you do a benching solution and they're sitting at a table with a nice chair, that may be $1,500 per employee. So when you're talking about organizations that have hundreds or maybe thousands of employees, the difference in that investment is significant. It's tremendous.
Yeah, sure.
So as they begin to come back, we're facing the fact that people don't want to sit next to each other anymore. They don't want to sit across the table from each other anymore.
6 feet apart.
Exactly. But at the same time, is that employer prepared to spend so much more money to give everyone that space? So as we deal with these issues, as we think about them, what we believe we're going to see is somewhat of an increase in the work from home movement. We're going to see that maybe wound up around 10% of the workforce, which is a huge from 3%. It's kind of a general consensus that's where we're going to land. But at the same time, those employees that are in the office are going to need more space. So it's not going to allow these companies to reduce their real estate footprint like some initially thought they were going to. We're not going to see that savings. And we are going to see a need to go in and refurnish these spaces with some social distancing in mind, a little more privacy in mind, a little more space in mind. And we believe that's kind of where the future is going to go on the office side. Now, the healthcare side, which is, as you know, is a tremendous part of our business.
Very much so.
We never missed a day during the entire COVID experience.
Well, you were essential. You were, correct me if I'm wrong, you were essential workers because of your working with the hospitals and healthcare.
We were, and we continue to, and those organizations needed us to continue to bring furniture and continue to help them prepare for the possible onslaught of patients, to convert spaces that may have been used as a waiting room into patient rooms. So, we have some real heroes in our organization, and that's, to me, is our installers and our warehouse guys. A lot of the jobs we have at OE are portable. We were able to send designers home. We were able to send, people who did marketing home, people who did administrative work. Those jobs could go home and they function pretty well. But the warehouse guys and the installers, those guys had to be on the front lines every day, right there with the healthcare workers, going into these environments that, frankly, were terrifying for many of them, just because we didn't know what we didn't know. No one did about COVID. And we pushed through and kept working. But we see the healthcare environment changing as well. Okay, it's going to become an environment that's going to need to be less static, less traditional construction, more modular. So product Dirt Line that we represent, which is heavily involved in the healthcare industry, and they create spaces that are modular. They can be moved around. You can reconfigure the space without actually disrupting the environment. So we're not coming in with saws and creating sawdust and hanging, plastic down from the ceiling to avoid the mess. You're coming in and standing up walls or moving walls that allow that space to be used in different ways within hours. And
that's incredible.
As the healthcare industry transforms through this, I think you're going to see modularity being a key component of what happens going forward. That's great.
And with the Dirt product, is it more of a glass product? Did you describe that to me? What's it like there?
It's really about the framing system, which is the largest part of the modularity, in that you have an external frame, and it could be glass inside, like that could be an insulated wall that actually has a better sound value than a sheetrock wall does. It could be electrical in it, plumbing in it. In the case of healthcare, that may be the head wall. That's the wall at the end of the patient's bed, at the head of the patient's bed, that has the med gases in it. So that could be what that product is used for. It's actually everything from private areas, patient rooms, really anything in that environment it can be configured for. Anyone can visit officeenvironments.com. There's a single E between office and environments, and there's a ton of data there. We try to keep that updated all the time. Additionally, we have compiled a back to work guide information from a lot of these different sources that we subscribe to, and really trying to put it into something that works well for our clients. And that's readily available if anyone's interested in it.
Oh, that's great. And then from the standpoint to other business owners out there, what insight do you have for them in terms of, okay, you've got to innovate, but where do I start? How do I get started or even know where to begin on this?
Most businesses only refurnish their space between every 12 and 20 years.
Yeah.
That's often just tied to the lease, the timing of the lease. But this is more of a cultural shift than it is anything else, we believe. Okay, so the day of the 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, is very likely gone. Don't be late, don't leave early. The expectation of the employee has changed. Even with that number coming back down to maybe 10% of workers or remote workers, those that are coming to the office may not be there every day. So before we start changing products and changing space, I think we first have to address the culture. And for business owners, you need to be sure that you're on board and your team is on board and your employees understand that, the expectation of, hey, we're going to be flexible. We're going to change things. But this is what that looks like when you're not in the office. And this is what it looks like when it does. Then the question becomes, all right, for the people that are coming into the office, they're not there every day. Do they have a dedicated space or do they have a shared space? Well, 6 months ago, I would have told you that's going to be a shared space. He's telling a lot that it's an unassigned workspace. Today, I will tell you that people aren't going to be comfortable with that.
Right.
Even though we've got people who are maybe in the office 3 days a week, 2 days a week, whatever that looks like, when they're there, they're going to have their own space. So before we get too deep into changing the space, I really think we have to change the culture and we have to be extremely clear on the expectations of how those people are going to come in and what that's going to look like. And then we can address, okay, we're going to have maybe smaller spaces, but more of the higher panels that give more privacy. Maybe we're going to have small conference rooms scattered throughout. That's becoming very, very common to have less of your grand, large 20-person conference rooms. And let's have a lot of 4- and 6-person rooms. And those rooms can be used for small team meetings, for group meetings. Okay. They can be used if an individual is in for that day and needs a private place to work. They can go in there, throw the phone in there. Maybe there's some technology in there. We know that technology is going to play a huge role in work going forward. So I think that's where we have to do. We have to talk about the culture first, and then we can address the space.
Do you have any charts or information you want to discuss with our viewers? I've got you here.
We have a few interesting things that we're going to share. The first chart we're going to talk about is one that just rolls through the cycles of that employees have experienced. This has been an emotional experience for people as much as it's been a health or physical experience. The numbers have been all over the board and in some cases maybe questionable, but the emotion has been real. And people have gone from absolutely terrified to let me come back to work to what does that look like? Yeah. The next chart we're going to talk about for just a moment is one that shows what was initially believed to be an increase in productivity from workers going home. I've heard it. I know you've heard it. We've had friends that have expressed it. Hey, we've never been so productive since we went home to work.
Very much so.
Office furniture guy, that terrified me initially, right?
Honesty, appreciate it.
I need you to go to work. But what we saw and what the industry saw, what the world saw, was that yes, if you've got a project and you want to go home and work on that project, it's very likely that you're going to be more efficient, more effective doing that heads down at home. However, as that project ends and you begin the next project, what we see is somewhat of a fall in that efficiency. And it goes back to that collaboration that you mentioned before, losing out on that ability to sit down in a team meeting. Yes, we can do Zoom, but it's not the same thing. Right. And as each project progresses down the line, that productivity and that efficiency falls to a level where you're now below pretty quickly what you would have in the office. And that's where the company begins to suffer. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of it's human nature, the fact that, hey, we're at home and I need to run pick up the kids. I need to run do the dry cleaning. The kids are home with me today. It's a zoo here. I can't get anything done. And again, back to the collaboration, there's just a lot of reasons that we begin to lose that efficiency. So employers are seeing that it's going to have to be that mix of you're going to have to be in the office some. Yes, we can. You got something to do that you can do at home, go home and do it. That's fine. But we're not going to be as efficient and effective as businesses if we stick to this. Everybody go home.
And let me say this: I'm hearing across the board from our clients who own businesses that they had those employees that years ago said, yes, I want to work from home. And then now all of a sudden, they've spent so much time at home. They're like, help me figure this out. I want to come back in.
For most people, they need to come in and have that recharge of being with other people, especially the ones who are home with children. Those parents, they need to come back into the office and frankly, just get that adult time. So that's a challenge for people. We need the social aspect of life. And then the other interesting thing about the work from home environment is two different things can happen. When you go home to work, some people actually find that they're working a lot more than they would have in the office. The whole thing's about work-life balance. That's what people want. Balance. But when you go home and you find that, hey, I'm starting off in the morning, I'm busy all day, I'm busy all night, it comes around to dinner time, I haven't even thought about trying to fix dinner, get something to eat. Now here it's 9:30 at night, and I'm back in front of my computer working again.
Yeah.
For many people, it's actually affected work-life balance in a negative way. Of course, the other side is people who find themselves tied up with life. Life happens, and work doesn't get done. Or gets stopped where they don't even start it till 9 o'clock at night in reality. So our homes are not meant to be workplaces. Okay? Our homes don't have the capacity. They don't have frankly, the furnishings. Working from your dining room table is not ideal. It's not comfortable. Trying to bring office furniture, proper office furniture, ergonomic office furniture into the home is not always an option. Now, we're blessed here in central Alabama that we have generally larger homes, larger apartments, things like that. You go to the big cities where apartments are very, very small, and how are you going to bring a desk and an office chair into what's probably already a stuffed place?
I spoke to a client in New York City yesterday, and he and his wife live in a very small apartment, and they'd put a divider up in the room. That's how they separated from each other, just because they both had jobs.
And that's not a long-term solution. You can't.
No.
So we're social creatures. We need not only the social aspect, but we kind of need the timelines. We need, hey, this is when work stops, and this is when it's over, and this is when
very true.
Family. And these things happen best in an office environment. So we are going to see the majority of workers back in the office to some degree or another. That may be several days a week, not every day, but we are going to see a return to that. I really do believe that dirt and products like that offer this ability to create and change space quickly and easily are going to be part of the future. As work changes, the way the space is used is going to have to change too. And that it's certainly not going to be on the 12 to 20 year schedule that we're used to. And it may actually be project to project. Change teams as we change the way certain teams work together. We may be moving space very frequently in the future. And we're seeing on new construction, that is the theme that they're going in there with, is how do we build this in such a way that we can change this space as needed, whether that's tenant to tenant as that building ages, or whether that's for the tenant that's in there as their work changes. So
that's why I was excited about this interview, because of the fact I think that's cutting edge. And it's also a way that, an obstacle is thrown at a business, it's thrown at industry. And from an innovation standpoint, somebody thought, we've got to do something here. And how do we redesign our business model and give a product that will make a difference in our customers or other businesses? And I think it's pretty neat what you've got going on there.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's all about speed to market for the end user. It's all about the ability to be flexible, the ability to change, and the ability to adjust. Because just like we in the past haven't changed our furniture very frequently, in the past we haven't changed our business model very frequently either. And you can speak to this more than I can, but I believe that companies that are not flexible are going to suffer in the future.
No, I agree. I believe we're going through a period of creative destruction, as the economic term is used, and technology was going to change us anyway. But all of a sudden, here comes COVID, and it just ramped it up faster than ever, and forcing everybody to address what we all knew. Or from a research standpoint, here at Five Plan Partners, we knew these business models are going to change, whether you want to talk about education, whether you want to talk about healthcare, the list, I could go down the whole list. But COVID-19 has definitely made everybody have to accelerate and rethink how we do things.
And at Office Environments, we think we're going to look back on this experience years from now and think this was the day the world changed.
Well, Mike, I greatly appreciate this interview. This has been fantastic. And I really thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I want to put up on the screen here ways that people can get in touch with you and your company in terms of your website, because you have just been very insightful. You have given me great insight on how the world is changing out there in the business environment. And I think you're a leader in that area.
Well, thank you, Greg. We appreciate certainly the relationship that Office Environments enjoys with Five Plan Partners and with you. We really appreciate this opportunity to share today what Office Environments does. We're here ready to help with office furnishings from Herman Miller and a couple of hundred other manufacturers that we represent. We believe dirt's going to be a really important part of the future. We're ready to help with that, to help companies become more flexible, help with speed to market, and help address the business issues that, as we progress beyond COVID, we believe that everyone's going to have to deal with.
Well, yeah, as I've said before, you've done an incredible job not only helping business owners and companies out there, but in addition to that, creating an environment that employees not only feel comfortable in, but they feel safe in, as well as the customers who are coming into the office buildings. And so the rippling effect of that is huge, not only for that particular business owner, but also for the economy itself. So congratulations, great leadership. And I really appreciate how you've worked with Five Plan Partners. You've always given us great advice. I know others that you've helped, and you have a lot to celebrate in this 2020 year. So congratulations.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for letting me and Office Environments be part of this. We appreciate the opportunity and excited about helping people manage their space.
Please have a great rest of the week, and just know we're going to continue giving you these ideas to innovate in your business so that you know how going forward with the obstacles in front of you, it takes innovation to overcome them and to remain successful in this economy. Take care.